Alright guys, Simon here. We're playing Assassin's Creed 2 and I think now is a good time to do a tour of Monteriggioni. I'm pretty bad at pronouncing Italian words. So this is like the first town that we get complete access to. So Monteriggioni, it's a small walled town, I guess. It's not very big, right? It's not really a city. Even in game, it's much smaller than Florence. But it's got pretty massive walls though. So just by that you can tell it's got, strategic military significance. More so than say, economic or trade or anything else. So it's basically a fortress in the countryside as it is. Like the town itself is quite small, but the walls are pretty big. And so in the game the town is arranged as, actually it's kind of strange, isn't it? Like you walk in the front gate and then the path just turns to the right. I would have expected like a town square near the gate, but maybe it makes more sense this way, because it's easier to defend if there's like a narrow choke point in front of the gate. If they break down the gate, for example, they still have to fight through this narrow choke point here. Maybe it makes more sense for a military town. Anyway, so as you walk in, I guess the main square is like here, or the main street at least, because there's like a shop there. There will be a shop here when we invest in it and open it, and then there's like a shop there, and a shop there, and like a shop there. So there's a bunch of shops in the middle of the town, and then if you follow the main street up, there's like a terrace thing where there's a pretty grand staircase, a pretty awesome, massive staircase. The staircase is like half the town. The size of the staircase is like half the town, it's massive. And then up on top is the Villa Auditore. So there's like a massive palace apparently at the top of the town as well, looking down at the town. So in the game it's like this. We'll look at the real thing later on, and the wall goes all the way around the town, and the palace is pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just kind of a rectangle thing up at the top. And then if we go back into the town, so the main square is surrounded by shops, and then to the what is this? I guess to the east there's a church. So the church looks like that. The church is not that big, although the town's not that big neither, so maybe it's kind of big enough for the town. The church is also closed right now. So the church looks like that, the walls look like that. I don't know if you guys can see very well. So there's a church there, there's a main street here, and oh wait, no, there's a church square here. So in front of the church there's a square, which is usually the case. Because the church, I mean, in Christian countries, I guess even in other countries or in other cultures, like in front of a mosque maybe, or in front of a temple, there'd be like a gathering space. So in front of, so there'll be like a market district, and then there'll be like a religious district, and then there's housing districts and all that. And squares are, I mean, they're not just empty spaces, they're like spaces for people to gather, and then maybe during special days where they have religious ceremonies, they can kind of have people gather at the square, and like these like festivals and ceremonies and things like that. They're not just events. Well, I guess they are just events, but the point is that people kind of come out and get together and hang out and have fun. Mostly that's what it means, these festivals and stuff. So the squares kind of serve that purpose too. So not everything is indoors in the church itself, right? I hope I'm making sense, I'm not rambling too much. Anyway, so the town, I guess this is like a residential district. We can have a look at that. Vaguely Gothic windows there. Just as we run around, just kind of have a look at the buildings. So some of this is kind of run down and abandoned, but some of the windows are also quite fancy too. There's a whole mix of things going on. So there we go. So like that's pretty fancy there. Just try to keep that facade in mind. Facade is the face of the building, by the way. It's like the wall. Why am I lagging now? Wow, it's really bad. Can I like stop the lag? Okay, hopefully that stops the lag. So map. So what we just walked through. So the front gate is somehow slightly to the side, which is a bit strange to be honest. So we walked in here, so the main shops are around here, right? And then the church is here. And then I guess the residential district is kind of there and there. And then the massive staircase, that's like half the town. And then the massive palace, which is just to the north there. There's actually other stuff around here too. Maybe I should... No, that's not really important. Anyway, so that's Monteriggioni in-game. It's like a town, and it's a massive villa Auditore. And actually, let's where's the database? No, I need to go there. Database. And according to the database, the people I'll do separately, I think. So let's just do architecture here and locations. So Tuscany. So there's Monteriggioni, according to the game. Built in the 13th century by the overlords of Siena, Monteriggioni was actively involved in the defense of Tuscany against Florentine attempts to gain more territory. So, you know, as I said, it's a fortress. So, I mean, it serves more as a fortress than just a town, right? At the front of this conflict was the Auditore family, who became the family's rulers and protectors. It was the Auditore who constructed Monteriggioni's famous walls, which can still be seen today. Although standing in opposition to Florentine desires, the Auditore had cordial relations with the Medici family, largely due to their collective Florentine roots. Monteriggioni successfully withstood attacks from Florence until in 1554 the city was betrayed. Giovannino Zetti, the keeper of the garrison and a Florentine exile, was allowed to return to Florence in exchange for the keys to the city. Extraordinarily, the Auditore were allowed to continue their rule of Monteriggioni under Florentine leadership, showing that the Medici did not forget their friends. So that's kind of a complex there. And if we go back and go to Villa Auditore, okay, Rebecca says there's a glyph there, we found it already. Constructed in 1290. That's really early. The Villa Auditore is an important medieval predecessor to early Renaissance architecture. Is it now? The villa's wonderful symmetry and ordered geometry were a revelation for its time. Really? Not only concerned with aesthetics, Domenico Auditore, Ezio Auditore's great-grandfather, designed his home to double as a fortress and training ground, looking out both over the city that it protects and the Tuscan plains. After a Florentine attack in 1320 left the facade damaged, the present facade was erected and a painting gallery was added to the interior. Domenicio? Wow. Domenicio was more than just an architect and a warrior, he was also a skilled engineer. Recently discovered hidden compartments in rooms with mechanisms blocking entry are several unique features of the building that make it a technological marvel as well as an architectural one. I don't know where the history ends and the fiction begins. So according to this, it's, you know, that. But real world, in the real world, Monteriggioni looks like that. Looks like that. Actually, in the map, it looks like that. So what's the first thing you notice when you look at the real one? So you have the main gate apparently is there. There's a main square there. And then there's no villa. There's no villa, man. There's no staircase. There's no Auditore villa. In fact, the real world village is even smaller than the one in game, which is incredible. Although the church is there, and in fact, I think the church is actually quite accurate. But the real world Monteriggioni is even smaller. Is that the villa? Is that what that is? Can I? I can't. Can I like get down there and what's here? Do we have... Oh, we have street view. Alright, let's go into street view if we can. Is it gonna load? It's loading. Yes. Please. Google, please. Street view. Wow, awesome, look at that. Alright, so we can slowly turn around. So, okay, there are shops, but they sell postcards and t-shirts and souvenirs these days. So there's no villa, is there? Nope, there's no... It's pretty strange, look at those bricks there. But there's no Villa Auditore. There's the main gate. It's even smaller in real life than it is in game. So this is one of those rare moments when something in real life is actually smaller than something in game. Usually things in game are smaller because you need to fit, you know, like it's kind of difficult to fit all this detail into a game engine, so it's kind of shrink the thing in game. But here, nope, the game is bigger than real life. So there's no villa. Right. So that's what it looks like. The church still looks pretty much the same. Actually, even the fountain thing, like that fountain thing, you see that? You see that? That thing is even in game. Let me just walk back that way, if I can. So the church is, you know, the same shape, and there's a wait a minute. The fountain thing is fancier in game than it is in real life. Ha! Funny. Alright, so there's the church. The church dominates the town, not the villa, if there is a villa. Well, there you go. Villa Auditore Rio. I don't think the Villa Auditore actually is inside the town, but we can look it up later on. Alright, so let's look at this. Monteriggioni is a commune in the province of Siena in the Italian region Tuscany. Blah 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 blah. Borders all those. The town is architecturally and culturally significant. It hosts several piazzas and is referenced in Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. I don't know why that's important, but okay. Montereggioni is a medieval walled town located on a natural hillock, built by the Sienese in 1214 to 1219 as a front line in their wars against Florence, by assuming command of the Via Cassia running through the Val d'Alsa and Val Stagia to the west. So they built a town overlooking a main, road to control the territory, basically. So they built a fort overlooking the road. During the conflicts between Siena and Florence in the Middle Ages, the city was strategically placed as a defensive fortification. It also withstood many attacks from both the Florentines. This is missing an N there. Maybe I should fix that. Should I fix that? Let's fix edit. Maybe I should log in. The Florentines? Florentines. Is that gonna load? During the from the Florentines, it's a edit summary typo. Save changes. So you're supposed to fix. Did I click that? Yeah, okay. There we go. We fixed Wikipedia for you. It also withstood many attacks from both the Florentines and the forces of the Bishop of Volterra. In 1554, the Sienese were able to place control of the town's garrison to Giovannino Zetti, who had been exiled from Florence. In 1554, in an act of reconciliation with the Medicis, Zetti simply handed the keys of the town over to the Medician forces, considered a great betrayal by the townspeople. Don't know how that works. Like, you give them the keys, okay, but aren't there soldiers garrisoned there? Like, wouldn't the soldiers be, mutiny against him? Anyway, I guess they didn't. So eventually, the Florence gained control over the town at the expense of Siena. Siena is a nice place, but eventually Florence became much more powerful than Siena, especially like during the Renaissance. Like, Florence developed much better than the Siena did, and then they grew more powerful. Alright, main site. The roughly circular walls, totaling a length of about 570 meters, and following the natural contours of the hill, were built between 1213 and 1290. That's a long time ago. And that's a lot earlier than the Renaissance too. So these are like medieval walls, like really old walls. There are 14 towers on square bases set at equidistance and 2 portals or gates. One gate, the Porta Fiorentina, opens towards Florence to the north, and the other, the Porta Romana, faces Rome to the south. The main street within the walls connects the 2 gates in a roughly straight line. The main piazza, this is like a square, main city square. The main piazza, the Piazza Roma, is dominated by a Romanesque church with a simple plain facade. Other homes or other houses, some in Renaissance style, once owned by local nobles, gentry and wealthy merchants, facing into the piazza. Other houses, some in the Renaissance style, facing into the piazza. Man, who wrote this? Probably someone, probably an Italian actually. Alright, let's just fix the grammar. Let's fix this. Other facing, really? Face into the piazza. Minor grammar. Don't vandalize Wikipedia, guys. It's not nice. Like, it's just a douchebag thing to do. But if you see things you can fix, then feel free to fix things. Just make sure you know what you're doing. Face into the piazza. Off the main piazza, smaller streets give way to public gardens fronted by other houses and small businesses of the town. It sounds really nice, doesn't it? There's like a main piazza with kind of villas facing into it, and then other gardens, and then more shops and things. It sounds really nice. In more hostile times, these gardens provided vital sustenance when enemies gathered without. Okay, well that's slightly less nice. So they grow food in the interior gardens when necessary. Other sites in the town's countryside includes those things. Romanesque, Gothic, Hermitage. See, they don't say anything about a Villa Auditore. Counter to that, so that's not. So it talks about in Assassin's Creed 2 using this thing. So this is Monteriggioni in real life. There's no giant villa, no giant staircase. It's a fairly simple town, aside from the fact that there's a massive wall around it. It looks pretty cool there, though. So, you know, other people have obviously tried to find the real Villa Auditore and failed. So let's type Villa Auditore into Wikipedia. Auditore? Torre? That's not how you spell it, is it? Auditore. Nope, that's right. Ah, see, so it's only... So Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed, Desmond Miles, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed 2. See, these are... They're all talking about the game. They're not talking about any real life things. Look at that. Look at that. So there's no Villa Auditore in real life at all. Well, there we go. I guess that ends our little tour, our little architecture lesson of this town. So the church is accurate, nothing else is, though. In fact, I feel like it looks better in real life than it does in game. Because in real life the square is a bit wider, and there's fewer buildings, and there's like gardens and stuff. Although, having said that, this is still early in the game, and you see like this stuff here, it's like it's all messed up and then old and run down. So maybe later in the game it will look better. But still, I feel like there's none of those. See those windows there, those fancy Gothic arched windows there, those are way too fancy for this town. This town is too poor for anything that fancy. So mostly the town is just... even that I think is too fancy for this town. So they make more of this town in the game than it ever was in real life. Which is okay, I mean it's fiction, it's a game. They're allowed to take some artistic license. I think oh, shut up. I think the walls are a little too big as well. I think the walls in real life are a bit shorter than that. But I guess that's something they have to do to accommodate the fact that you can climb up so many things. So they make the buildings taller to give you more stuff to climb, basically. Which is Okay, yeah, fair enough. So the church is real, nothing else is. Basically, that's the summary. Alright, so I guess I should end this right here, and then when I come back, we'll keep playing the game.
Dio di cielo, he's crazy.
No, you're crazy. You wanna see crazy? I got more crazy for you if you want. Here, how's this for crazy? Jump over. Jump over. Jump over. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.